All right, everybody. My apologies for being a few minutes late. I wanted to I wanted to start the show at 2:30, but I wrote some more notes about it and everything like that. I didn't really add a whole bunch of slides in here today. I do have the main one, so we'll talk about the grand picture of the game and everything like that. Um, but more than anything, I didn't want to spend too long on this one, so I can get landfall hour for tonight ready, and then tomorrow morning will probably be damage report for the game tonight against the Penguins. So we'll worry about all that here in a little bit, but let's go ahead and get to this one right here. All right, so excellent game last night. I'm going to go over all of it. I was very, very happy with how the Canes played last night. There were a few hiccups here and there, but you're never going to be perfect. That's totally fine. But we definitely want to talk about this extensively, because this was the Hurricanes. When they beat Detroit, it was the beginning of a bounce back. This was like the next step of a bounce back, because it's going to take some time to undo the damage that was done during the Florida timeframe. This very, very good job as far as getting that done. So overall, Hurricanes won 3-2 in overtime. We're going to talk a whole lot about that overtime goal and how Rod managed the game there and everything like that, because I think that he did a great job with that, as I posted on X. Expected goals, Carolina 4.88 to 2.36, and they managed to get 3 goals. I'll take that. I'll be 1.88 under expected against Igor Shesterkin any day of the week. 2 5-on-5 goals were scored, one by Carolina, one by the Rangers. Expected goals at 5-on-5. Carolina dominated here, 3.42 to 1.61. Total penalty minutes for Carolina, 4, 8 for the Rangers. The Hurricanes were 2 for 3 on the power play for a total of 66.7%. And that's ultimately what won them the game. This is what you want to see. There's some nights where you want your power play scoring to be secondary, and then there's some nights where it brings it home for you, and this was one of them. The Rangers were 1 for 2 on the power play because they scored their first goal on the power play. No shorthanded goals to speak of. Carolina had 82 shot attempts. Speaking of 82, he played really well last night. Anybody who says that he didn't, they just hate the guy. Rangers had 38. Carolina blocked 11 shots. The Rangers blocked 18. So a pretty good block percentage there from Carolina, considering the Rangers had a total of 38 shot attempts and 11 of them were blocked. And then in the faceoff, that's backwards, actually. My bad. Carolina had 59.7. The Rangers had 40.3, so they were dominant in the circle as well. So we don't need to have this. Yes, Bobby. KK, I think, was 78% or something like that. It was pretty ridiculous what he had there. So going over it period by period, I don't have the slides for each individual period here because, like I said, I wanted to be able to concentrate on getting landfall hour ready, which I plan on doing that around 5 or 5:30 or so. First period, Canes, right off the hop, they looked a little bit rough, particularly Nikishin. He recovered after all that, and he had a good game from there. And he laid Vincent Trocheck out, which was just absolutely beautiful. Gave up a breakaway to start. Wasn't very good there. And then shortly after that, at 1:08 of the first period, he took a slashing penalty against Noah Laba, and the Rangers would score on the ensuing power play. Gavrikov from Panarin and Trocheck. Now, after that, the Canes kind of started to really take control of this game and start to establish the offensive zone a little bit more. They started building a game almost immediately after that power play goal. So they didn't sit on it for too long. They didn't stew about it. They went out there and they got right back to work after that power play goal, which is what you need to see happen. Ehlers used his speed to draw a penalty on Johnny Brodzinski, who tripped him. And then pressure during the power play led to Braden Schneider clearing the puck over the glass, and here comes a 5-on-3. Therefore, I was expecting the Carolina Hurricanes to not score, but Sebastian Aho decided to do otherwise. And he would score during the 5-on-3, assisted by Alexander Nikishin. Way to bounce back from that rough start to immediately get an assist on the power play. I really liked what I saw of him on the power play, and Nikolai Ehlers also had an assist as well. Second period, the Rangers played better for a lot of the second period, and a little bit of the third this applies to as well, what I'm about to say. They were really doing a good job on neutral zone disruption and transition denial and denying entry to the Hurricanes for a while. But after a while, the Hurricanes figured it out and did start establishing the zone a whole lot more. They had several sequences where they were able to do that. The Rangers didn't have a whole lot of offensive zone time, but they don't need it a lot of times to make stuff happen. In this case, they did manage to get a lucky bounce where Johnny Brodzinski scored from Carrick and Robertson after the shot went off a Chatfield's skate to make it 2-1 in the second period. Going into the third period, again, Rangers kind of started out hot. Carolina wore them down a little bit. Martinook tied it by deflecting one off his foot. Now, I want to talk about this one extensively. This made the game 2-2. Chatfield and Miller had the assists on that play. I was fully expecting the Rangers to challenge that on either the basis of goaltender interference, which I don't even know what that rule is anymore, because I swear to God, the War Room just flips a coin every time it comes up there, or maybe they draw numbers out of a hat. I don't know. It's like a lottery. It's like a lottery every time that they try to do that. You never know what you're going to get with that. The goaltender interference is like a box of chocolates. You'll either get the stale, used up, made in China ones, or you'll get like premium Dove chocolate or something. I don't know. I don't know much about chocolate. I prefer to get my calories through fried food. Or maybe saying that was a kicking motion. I'm personally surprised that Mike Sullivan decided not to challenge that, but considering the Hurricanes power play looked like it was clicking, which ultimately it did win them the game, I can also understand he probably didn't want to take the chance of losing that challenge and Carolina getting a power play. So we go into overtime. Even though they lost the initial draw, Carolina did regain control of the puck. Jordan Stahl comes off. Andrei Svechnikov, Sebastian Aho come on. They were mostly in control, and at one point, Taylor Hall driving up the ice. Robertson trips him with 1:59 remaining. So the Hurricanes had a power play for the remaining duration of overtime. It's good that they won that game in overtime, because I don't want to go toe-to-toe with Igor Shesterkin in a shootout if I don't have to personally. Even though Bussy has held up pretty well in shootouts, don't want to take that chance if you don't have to. So in the absence of Shane Gostisbehere, Rod Brindamore went with 4 forwards. Ehlers, Svechnikov, Aho, and Blake. Blake spent a lot of time in front of the net. You could kind of feel it coming that he was going to make something happen there, whether it was a greasy one, a deflection, whatever he managed to do. Ultimately, he did win thanks to a deflection. Surprisingly, again, this also kind of surprised me, Mike Sullivan called the timeout, so that gave both sides a chance to catch their breath. Aho won that critical face-off against Vincent Trocheck. Hurricanes had really, really good cycling and everything like that to manage to maintain control of the puck. Jackson Blake with an absolute beautiful deflection goal to win it in overtime. Final stats for the goalies. Igor Shesterkin gave up 3 goals against. He saved 31 on 34 shots with a .912 save percentage. Bussy, 2 goals against, 17 for 19. Carolina really limited the Rangers' chances, and he came out with an .895 save percentage, just a tick below 900. And, when you face that few shots, that's a good save percentage to have. So, again, baseline game from Bussy. And when it comes to everybody on this team, everybody at a minimum had a baseline game. Everybody did their job last night, at least to the standard you expect them to. I'm particularly happy with the fact that Aho had another multi-point night. So good news for him there. He's on the verge of hitting his 300th goal. He has 297. Additionally, he got his 72nd power play goal, which puts him, I made a post about it. I want to say he's 4th all time. And when he gets 74, he will be 3rd all time above Pat Verbeek. And the only 2 people ahead of him at that point will be Eric Stahl. And let's see, I made a post about it. Let me go look it back up again, because I had that post ready because I thought he was going to get one the other night and he didn't, but that's totally fine. Where did that post go? Eric Stahl and Ron Francis. I don't like mentioning Ron Francis if I don't have to. Eric Stahl and Ron Francis will be the only guys ahead of Sebastian Aho in terms of total power play goals in franchise history come when he scores his 74th. So that's only 2 goals away. Likelihood this year, Sebastian Aho is going to hit his 300th goal, his 400th assist, and his 700th point. And that's even with him having that rough 5 or 6 game stretch where he couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. So really happy with how that team played. Very complete game. What mistakes you did make, and you're going to make mistakes regardless. That's always going to happen. What few mistakes they did make, they didn't let them, snowball. They didn't allow those mistakes to, really dictate the rest of the game. They got right back to work when they made mistakes. So again, baseline game from everybody. Kotkaniemi was exceptional. Considering, some of the struggles he's had over the years. If he plays like that every night, then I don't see any reason why he doesn't stay in Carolina. There was absolutely no issues with how he played last night. I really like that line with him and Ehlers and Blake. I'm hoping that line stays together for the foreseeable future. It would be kind of dumb to break them up if you ask me. Now, back to the overtime winner. Again, props to Rod. That was excellent game management to put 4 forwards out there when you don't have Goss to spare. You lose a lot of that dynamic ability of walking the puck around the perimeter and being able to walk the blue line like Goss to spare does when he's absent. So that was a really good decision. When it's 4-on-3 like that and in overtime, the Rangers' options to be able to generate a shorthanded chance were even more limited than normal. So great job by him. And let's hope that Freddie Anderson can start turning it around tonight. We're going to need a big game from him on the back-to-back. So I'll get to some of the comments now, and then we'll get to it. Skylark, what's up, buddy? TikTok. Yeah, I'm sorry it took me so long to get the show started. Like I said, I'm working on getting the other one ready as well for tonight. Dylan, what's up? Not seeing anything on when we might see the new guy yet. Lackey, what's up? Chinikov already confirmed that he'll not make it tonight, and since he was traded to Pittsburgh, he won't be there. Yeah, I haven't seen anything else about Noah Phillip making it yet. I'm curious to see how that all goes. But one of the first things that I'm hoping to see is that he's in the lineup over Jankowski. Jankowski did have a baseline game for the most part last night, but his baseline is really low. Dylan also says, I'm still trying to wrap my head around what Tulski is cooking. Maybe he isn't focusing on a 2C now, then what? And with the cap space now with PK on IR, might have made it change up a bit. Yeah, I don't know exactly what he's going to do. It's just the center market is so dry right now that improving the team by adding a winger is probably more realistic, as I talked about. And I want to say it was the previous stream. I talked about that extensively. I think that, if you can do that and you can, add a left winger, preferably a definitive left winger, and then put Svechnikov on the right of Kotkaniemi and Ehlers. That's what I'd like to see in the future. I really like the way that this is all shaping up. If one other thing I forgot to mention at the beginning of the third period, Rod made some line changes to kind of provide a spark. Eric Robinson, you don't want to leave him up there with Aho and long term, but he swapped him and Stankoven and had Ehlers, Aho, and Svechnikov together on that top line. And that line was absolutely cooking. I'm surprised that they didn't score in the third period, but that game kind of went how I expected it to go because Griff and AB and Sam, I'm in a group chat with all them, as you guys know, and they'll tell you exactly the same thing. And so will Ghost for Norris. I said it in one of the chats that him and I are in, that what I was fully expecting to happen when the second period ended, I was never worried about the Canes in this game. I was like, I think they'll be fine. About the worst thing that could happen is they'll get goalied, and Shesterkin, as good as he is, he can only save, you so much, especially with all the guys that the Rangers had out as well, that, I was never worried during that game. I always thought they would tie it in the third and win it in overtime, and that's exactly what happened, thankfully. So, Bobby, what's up, bud? Blake has taken his game to another level all year, really helping out with Jarvis hurt. Yes, he was essential to winning that game last night. Daniel, what's up, dude? KK was awesome faceoffs. Yeah, I think he was 78% or something like that. 11 for 14, so I think that would make him 78.6. Reese, what's up, dude? That's a fire hoodie. Thank you. I've actually, this was a Christmas present or a birthday present back in, I want to say like 2013 I got it. And I finally lost enough weight to where I can actually fit into it again. So I've been wearing it a little bit when the weather warrants it. But I live in low country, South Carolina. So this is about the only time of year that I'm going to be wearing something other than a tank top on here. It was actually pretty cold today. I went out and did some stuff this morning, took my dog for a decent walk, all that type of stuff. Speaking of, he's laying right over here. Why don't you want to be on the show? Huh? Go lay down. Good boy. Watch Freddie throw a masterclass but lose because the team in front of him crapped the bed or didn't show up. Yeah, that's what I'm worried about tonight too, a little bit, considering it's on a back-to-back. Lackey says, hopefully we don't see a Skinner ball out tonight. Yeah, and there was a post that I saw about the Hurricanes maybe should call Pittsburgh about Stuart Skinner. No. Nick Alberga writes some pretty decent stuff, but that one just didn't make any sense to me. Like, I just don't see the point in that. I mean, Thatcher Demko, if it wasn't for the injury problems, I could maybe see that a little bit more, but you're at a point in the season where it's early enough to where you can see if this tandem can, do the job and everything like that. As it stands right now, Bussy is number one. There is absolutely nothing to indicate that won't stay the same because he played well again last night. He's now 12-1-1. So not worried at all. Or I think he would be 13-1-1 now, wouldn't he? I don't know. I'd have to look. Wizard also says the ability to find goals even with two of our best offensive drivers out is a great sign. Yes, absolutely. I agree. And, you got him from the power play. And a few months ago, we wouldn't have been talking about that the power play was able to win a game for you against a really good goalie at that. And it was able to do that last night. So, all right. That's going to be all for this particular show. I'm going to start getting Landfall Hour ready. I will see you guys around 5 or 5:30. I will post on X when I plan on having that as well. I will get to this last comment here. Ethan Reed says, tonight is a real gauge of our goaltending. We know Cooch is out and Bussy has nothing to make me question his game. It's Freddie's job to lose. Yeah, Freddie is going to be the big factor tonight for the Hurricanes. I will talk about that on Landfall Hour when I see you guys again here in a couple hours. Everyone, take care. I will see you soon.